However, you have to go through an RMA approval process, which takes longer. And if you don't do it till August 31st, you might not know if you have insurance by the planning period. Okay? So really important that we talk about this earlier. We do have to have your APH for wheat, okay, your wheat history, because that's what they're going to use to determine if, you know, that would be a good, suitable crop for your land. That's why it's really important to get that written agreement started early, because you are at the mercy of them to approve it, and they're looking at a lot of these. And I know we got a lot approved this year, so probably just get an earlier start on that. One other thing I need to mention is crop rotation from canola is required to insure it. What that means is you cannot plant it on the same dirt 2 years in a row in order for it to be an insurable crop. Well, another option you have on canola, or on all the crops, is instead of insuring with optional units, you can insure enterprise units. An enterprise unit is a single unit consisting of all the insured's insurable acreage for that crop in that county. Every farm stands separate. So let's say we've got farms in multiple different sections here. If a storm comes through and takes out the Smith's place, the adjuster is going to come out on the Smith's place, and you're going to get paid on the Smith's place, and you're going to go about regularly harvesting on the Jones and the second Smith's place. They're all going to stand separate at loss time. Each one will have its own APH and own guarantee. In an enterprise unit situation, we're going to combine everything in that crop in that county into one unit. So let's say that same storm comes through and wipes out this Smith's place, okay? The adjuster is still going to come out there and give you an adjustment on that place. However, you're not going to get paid on that place until every unit in that county in that crop is harvested, because we're going to take a weighted average of the yields and the loss, okay, for that crop. So some of you might be thinking, well, that makes my risk more. Why would I want to do that? The reason why you might consider it is because the subsidies are increased at a much higher percent, because more of the risk is on you. So looking at those same areas, 65–70% level, the subsidy is 80%, meaning you only pay 20% of the premium. And just like from last year, it was about half the premium for the same plan, because we're putting it all in one unit, making more of the risk on our shoulders. However, at the same time, it's reducing the premium for the same total dollar guarantee. So something to keep in mind, a lot of you that are planting canola probably are planting it on 1 or 2 places. Might be an option you might want to look at, especially if they're located close together. You know, in relatively, as long as they have to have land in 2 sections, and there's what's called the 20-20 rule. You have to, each place has to have either 20 acres or 20% of the total in each section in order to qualify for it. But we can determine that. But if you're only planting a couple fields and are located close together, and what happens to one field happens to the other usually, you might be willing to take this additional risk for much less of a crop insurance premium. Enterprise units must be selected by August 31st, sales closing. If you decide you do not like it, because maybe you got wiped out on one farm and the other farm made 2,000 bushels and it took you out of getting paid a loss on both farms, the following year you do have to fill out a new application, because it's continuous until canceled. So it doesn't just go away year after year. We recommend that you still keep separate records, because let's say the following year you do want to go back, you have to break that out in order for both farms to, you know, have the separate production. Acreage reporting date. We got that plant date from 9/10 to 10/10. By December 15th, you have to report the acres that you planted to canola.